International Trade Focus is brought to you by Ghana Free Zones Authority and supported by GOIL and Agricultural Development Bank.
Ebenezer Kofiesel is the head Food Industrial Support Services at the Food and Drugs Authority. We had an interview with him where he gave us insight into the role that the FDA, together with other state agencies, is playing to support, sustain, and boost local industries. Our Indepth segment comes up next.
You see, every commodity needs to meet a certain standard or specifications, either trade standards or safety standards or what have you. If Ghana wants to be seen as a key player in the world industry, practices, then our industrial players or our industries must conform to these standards. And one of the things that we do as a regulatory agency is to make sure that you comply with the standards that have been put together by the Ghana Standards Authority. So if it is Gari that you want to produce and export, or for local consumption, there's a standard for Gari. Okay? You may not be able to appreciate or understand all that needs to be done to meet those standards. Ideally, you need the services of a consultant to help you do that. But with the provision of the support that we are giving, when you come to the FDA, and this is what you are doing, just as we are doing for the informal sector, we should be able to tell you that for you to produce Gari, the major stake or the major issue with Gari has to do with the hydrocyanic acid. Okay, so what variety of cassava are you going to use? How are you processing it? How can we reduce the presence of this naturally occurring toxicant in the food as much as possible, such that it becomes safe and then you can export? Because when you are exporting Gari, one of the things that the important countries will look at for will be the presence of this hydrocyanic acid, which is a natural occurring toxicant. Okay, they will look at for other things, acid insoluble ash and all that. How do you get rid of these things? So the technical support will give you all that you need to understand, from the harvest of the cassava to the start of the processing to the end, including packaging and the labeling information and all that. We do these things on a daily basis. A young girl who is a pharmacist wants to go into a very beautiful packaging for Sobolo, and she was here about 2 weeks ago, and today we've gone to see where she wants to set up the facility. We've provided an advice. Such a person, what will happen is that by the time our inspectors go there to inspect the facility, she will have put everything in place, and it will meet the requirement at one go. Okay, so she shortens the time to, getting the FDA inspectors come there, and then they come again, and then they come again, and come again. And so if you were starting with such a person, she took time to get the foundation properly laid out. And that is where we're encouraging people to do. Somebody who wants to do ice cream, okay? What goes into ice cream production? You probably understand you have the money, but how can I start with the ice cream production? You can't do ice cream when you don't have a good freezing unit, okay? And we don't want your freezing unit to probably also contain domestic products. Can you dedicate a section of your freezing unit to hold just that ice cream so that you didn't have tainting effect and all that? Bringing in the FDA can give you this idea. Somebody can eat ice cream and then have allergies. Why? Because there's fridge or the freezer where you are keeping the ice cream. If you were using a domestic setting, you are using the same freezer to hold other products that can trigger allergic responses in people. And so we say, no, you can't keep the ice cream and these products in this same compartment. This is what will happen. Okay, if you can't do anything about it, then what you can do is that put on your ice cream label that the facility where this ice cream is produced also handles peanuts. Then anyone who is allergic to peanuts knows that if I use this ice cream, I can have allergies. Then I don't go to pick the product. You wouldn't have this advice if you don't approach us. I get my point. And so approaching us and working with us at the initial stages, the few things that we may ask you to do, you might think they may be quite challenging. But once you're able to put your house in order, the minimum is what we require. And that is why the registration is progressive. The licensing is progressive. And so you start from the lowest level, but at the same time, even though you are starting from the lowest level, we are not going to compromise on safety and quality. Okay, because public health is paramount. You cannot put premium on people's health. And so we're doing these things, but bearing in mind that we are conscious of the human health aspect of this whole enterprise. We've seen, what do you call it, an increase in the numbers, okay, at our last count. I'll give you a very typical example. Let me use the COVID-19, okay? With the onset of COVID-19, before COVID-19, we had registered just about 5 brands of hand sanitizers, the whole country. Just 5 brands of hand sanitizers. 3 of them were imported. Only 2 were locally manufactured. As we speak today, we have nearly 900 individual companies producing hand sanitizers in Ghana across the country. It tells us that, what have we done? If all these 900 companies who are producing hand sanitizers are employing a minimum of 2 persons, 2 times 900, that comes to 1,800 persons within this few period have found jobs that they are doing. And we are going to continue to use hand sanitizers. And as we speak today, we are still receiving fresh applications. That in itself tells you what we are able to do. There were those who were doing fashion design, sewing dresses and what have you. Yes, there was a lockdown, and nobody is traveling, the weddings, and what did they do? Then the face mask came in. Okay, how were we able to come up with the specification for the face masks such that today we have over 254 individual companies producing this face mask? Do you know how much money government or businesses will have thrown out there to import them into the country if we're importing these hand sanitizers into the country? And you understand, it got to a point, some of the countries were even refusing to sell out or export some of these materials because they also have their cases they had to deal with. And so you realize that their capacity is within. All we needed to do is to give them the enabling environment and then the push, the support. Let's just open up our state institutions, welcome local businesses that are coming up. And I believe when all the institutions come to this understanding, we should be able to drive or push our local industries forward. One concern that some of them have expressed, and we have deliberated on that a lot, okay? And like I'm saying this because FDA will do its part. The other institutions will have to do their part. And I'm trying to speak on the part of the financial institutions. For instance, somebody comes to the FDA. We've done the assessment and all that. And he needs a particular equipment to be able to complete the licensing. He goes to the bank for money to buy the equipment. The bank says that get the FDA registration before we give you the money. You know? And so you find it difficult. Which one comes first? The chicken or the hen? The chicken or the egg? Okay? Because he needs the money to fix that problem, to get the market authorization. You say, get the market authorization, and we'll give you the money. Why is he going to get a market authorization? It doesn't work that way. Okay? So just as we have signed this MOU with the MBSSI, we also need to probably let the financial institutions appreciate, especially those who have policies and products for SMEs, to appreciate this aspect of our work so that we all work collectively. And so if a facility is required by a company to be able to assess the market or giving the market authorization by the FDA, you know, we don't finish with our work and still the person is unable to assess the market. This is one aspect that the NBSSI have identified, and they realized the FDA is a key operator. So let's get the FDA on our side. We'll also request that other institutions that have anything to do or something to do with the SMEs to also appreciate this aspect of the whole, system. And we all throw our weight behind government industrialization drive. And I believe when we do that, we'll get off the ground running. I believe strongly that the Ghanaian, if you give them the opportunity, will be able to do marvelously well. And I'll still use the hand sanitizer as an example. I mean, who thought we'll have the capacity to do this? Okay, when the call came up for people to do something, I saw alcoholic beverage companies converting their lines to produce hand sanitizers. Nobody thought that would happen, but it did. Okay, and so what it means is that anyone who has any business idea, don't shelf it. This is the time. I've seen people trying to package Nkati cake. For time memorial, we've been buying Nkati cake from traffic, and then they pick it with their hands and give it to you. Now go to ShopRite and other places. You have Nkati cake packaged just like, what do you call it, chocolate or any other thing. It may not be very attractive initially, but over time, nobody thought we were going to have standard pouches, for instance. But now people are here locally producing and packaging food in standard pouches, very attractive ones. It is the packaging industry that has to also rise to the occasion. As we speak now, majority of our packaging materials are being imported. Maybe government will have to take a look at this. Support anyone who wants to start a packaging industry to, because if you take the chain of manufacturing, packaging is also one critical area. Currently, the few that are in the country, the cost of doing business and all that makes importing packaging materials even cheaper than producing locally. And I'm speaking from observations and also exposures that I've had and with our interactions with the industry. So probably that is also another area the packaging industry must be supported. Okay, and we should take a look at the various types of packaging. Okay, not only plastics, because there are certain foods that are better preserved in glass bottles than in plastics. Okay, so we need glass industries, we need paper industry, we need all the packaging industry, the cluster of packaging businesses that we can think about. The plastics are there, but we cannot package everything in plastic. Okay, packaging takes a bigger chunk of your production cost. And so if you have the industry and it is there to support the processing industries, it brings down the cost of the operation. For instance, a lot of our people are using secondary bottles, okay, from this company that is bringing in soya milk to package fruit juices and all that until the Kumfi factory started. We're having small people who were producing about 20 crates or 40 crates of pineapple juices every week or every 2-3 days. Okay, there's the challenge now for them because the Kumfi thing has started, and so probably the availability of pineapples may not be there again. Okay, it means that they have to double their effort, and so you see that the setup of the Kumfi plant alone is going to swallow all the fruits in that particular region. What happens to these small ones? They have to fall on other farmers to do that. So the farming for pineapple will also become a viable business for people. Now, what happens to their packaging? Supposing these guys importing the soya drink in a glass bottle stop doing business, that entire operation will collapse. Okay, so we need to look at the manufacturing sector very well from raw material supply, from packaging material supply, machinery. Okay, machinery is also another area. So our friends who are at Ampretech and in the universities and the polytechnics or the technical universities should look at, innovative ways of coming up with processing equipment that the small scale industries can use. There was a time you had we were having this milk, candies. They are packaged in blisters like medicines, but they are milk candies. Okay, and there's something happening. We're doing investigations and realize that when you go to China, when it started, you have families producing this from their homes. All they needed was just the milk source and then the equipment, and they were turning their homes into manufacturing sectors. When you see the finished product, because of the type of packaging that they are using, you marvel. And so somebody can be doing kuli and packaging kuli in a very beautiful pouch with, in atmospheric, modified atmospheric packaged, material. And the kuli comes out, it has a longer shelf life. Somebody buys this and says, "What is this?" And it says it's called kuli. What is kuli? And you have the description of kuli there. We have something we call Zoe, or it's made from the guns called ablemamu. It's made from peanuts and then maize with sugar and spices, and then they sell them overhead with dakwa. That's the other name, dakwa, like balls. They are formed like molded into balls. Somebody want to package this. Are you getting my point? And we agreed on the form of packaging, but we don't have the packaging materials here in Ghana. And so the idea of extending the shelf life of dakwa, making dakwa a universal or maybe an internationally known product, has been shut down because of the absence of packaging material. So if anybody is hearing us or listening or watching us, we are appealing that there is a huge enterprise left out in this whole industrialization drive, and that has to do with the packaging industry. We need to revisit that, and it is very critical. All the bottling companies that we have in Ghana are importing their bottles from time immemorial. Okay? And so there is something that we need to do about the packaging material industry. Whether it's laminated paper, whether it is plastic, whether it is glass, or what have you. The industry cannot be left out. Other than that, you prepare the grounds and then you get to a bottleneck and then you are not able to skip over or to jump over, and then you run into the walls. Government should be able to address this. And I believe when all these things are done, we will see Ghana cutting down drastically on the imported foods. If you take, for example, the breakfast cereals, I don't know whether you've observed it. Of late, we have a lot more people preparing Tom Browns and combination of cereals and all that. Very healthy foods. We have them here in Ghana, all the ingredients. What do you have in cornflakes? If it is about infusing the product with vitamins, yes, the technology is there. So you can prepare Tom Brown and have micronutrients added to it, fortify it to make to give it. Because if I eat cornflakes, it is not the shape of the food that matters. It is the content. So if I can have the same materials that you use in producing cornflakes in another form, which is local, and I'll get the same nutritional value or the nutritional, benefit, then the monies that we spend in importing it can be cut down. But if we can also develop the machinery and all the resources such that we can use our local products, because the technology for producing cornflakes is taught in school in food technology. We can use the same technology to produce something similar to cornflakes with our own local ingredients. And so machinery, the technology, packaging materials, supply, and then production is what we need to have. You are asking how we can grow the industry. So these are the things that we've observed, that if we do well in these areas, we can lift the local industries higher and higher and higher. Okay, if you take shito, for instance, and take two type of packaging: shito packaged in glass and shito packaged in plastic. Obviously, you can see most often the plastic doesn't seal very well. It is leaking and all that. But if you see shito that is well packaged in glass, and it tells you how good glass is when it comes to these areas. So it is not everything that you can package in plastic. It doesn't help us all the time.
You're watching International Trade Focus. The conversation continues after this break. Stay tuned.
Your business concepts and investment must be harnessed through a hassle-free and highly thoughtful process to make them globally competitive. That is precisely the mission of the Ghana Free Zones Authority. Ghana Free Zones Authority packages Ghana's enabling business and investment environment with endless benefits. Total exemption from major taxes and levies for first 10 years. Talk to us now about our business oasis created all over the country. Acres of industrial enclaves for all sectors. Our beneficiaries are in vibrant business, exporting finished and processed factory inputs all over the world. And what do our clients call us?
Partner.
Ghana Free Zones Authority. Sharing good fortunes.
Here's innovation from Goyle that takes you further. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes have been expertly crafted with the latest in liquid engineering technology, highly advanced for modern engines, prolongs oil change intervals, save you fuel, clean, protect and enhance engine performance. The way engines work has become complex, and Goyle has innovated to stay ahead with expertly crafted lubricants that work excellently with all petrol and diesel engines of today. New Goyle Super Synthetic 5W20 and 5W30 lubes. Innovation that takes you further. Goyle. Good energy.
ADB, making trade finance easy. ADB, truly agric and more.
A warm welcome back. You're still watching International Trade Focus. We're taking a look at the role that the Food and Drugs Authority, together with other government agencies, is playing to support, sustain and boost local industries. The conversation continues. Stay tuned.
So in our case, between ourselves and the National Board for Small-Scale Industries, one is to facilitate trade, so to speak, but with a focus on the medium, small, and medium-scale enterprises whose operations fall under the purview of the Food and Drugs Authority. Now, you know the Food and Drugs Authority is a ministry it's an agency of the Ministry of Health, a regulatory agency of the Ministry of Health, and the NBSSI is a trade agency of the Trade Ministry. Okay, so the NBSSI is set out or has set itself to make some support or provide some support to the micro, small, and medium scale enterprises across all sectors. Okay, but when it comes to those sectors that fall under the purview of the Food and Drugs Authority, we're looking at food, we're looking at household chemical substances, we are looking at medicines, we are looking at herbal medicines, we are looking at blood and blood related products, cosmetics. Okay, these are some of the, especially cosmetics and food, happen to be two of the industries that majority of our small, micro, and medium scale enterprises are involved in. Okay, most of the Ghanaian companies are not so much into the hard science, business operations, and things like that. And so, if you take the sectors of the food and all that, and largely we have women and youth, entrepreneurs handling such industries. And so over the time, it's been observed that some of these businesses go to the NBSSI for some support. Now, the support that NBSSI gives them, and by the mandate of the NBSSI, it does not allow these people to put their product finally on the market. Okay? So what it means that they help you set up your business operations with your accounting systems, and all that will help you start a business. But the product has to be given authorization to go into the market, and that's where the Food and Drugs Authority comes in. But we've realized that there are challenges as they try to put their products on the market. And so in spite of all the support given to them by the NBSSI, they are still unable to access the market because they fail to meet the FDA's requirement. And this, we've realized that will not help, with the government's industrialization agenda. Okay, so for the government industrialization agenda to become effective, okay, for everybody to feel it, okay, to reduce the numbers of unemployment of our youth and all that, there should be a concerted effort by all the agencies or all these institutions involved, okay, so that we can, as it were, put or harness our resources so that we can provide the needed support to these entrepreneurs to be able to access the market. And so the MOU was a formal document that has been signed between us, ourselves, and then the National Board for Small Scale Industries, so that we will avail our services to their offices at the business advisory centers. Unfortunately, the Food and Drugs Authority is not in every district. We operate from the regional offices and then transcend down to the districts. But the NBSSI offices, especially their business advisory centers, are all, you can find them in all the districts. And so we realize that if we are able to, as it were, provide that training, provide that hand, okay, extend that hand of support to the officers at the advisory centers, then the advisory centers will become a true one-stop shops for all persons who want to engage in one form of a business that falls under the FDA's purview. So you go to the business advisory center, okay, the department that I head, which is the Food Industrial Support Service, okay, provides some technical assistance in terms of training, in terms of letting you understand and appreciate what the regulatory requirements are. These same things can be given or provided to these entrepreneurs at the business advisory centers by the business officials when they are advising the workers on any other thing. Otherwise, the NBSSI officials will also have a direct link with the FDA through the Industrial Support Services departments. And then we can work with them hand in hand, such that by the time somebody, a small-scale business operator, presents its product to the FDA for registration, they will have met all the requirements. Okay, so it wouldn't drag. There will not be any back and forth, running around and trying to fix one thing or the other. We'll grow with you from the onset, just as you go to the business advisory centers to secure some advice. You go and meet the FDA there. The FDA or its representatives will be there to be able to provide you with that technical advice, okay, especially those that pertain to our operations, and so that you meet our requirement from the word go. Okay, so you cut down unnecessary delays and all that. And that will also provide the avenue for entrepreneurs to feel, very much welcome. We sit in our offices, and then small-scale businesses, micro-scale businesses, they feel that, well, the FDA, you go there and it's not a police institution. The FDA is not a police institution. It is a regulatory institution. But we have worked things out such that, or we are working things out such that anybody should be able to, access our services. Okay? So this technical support that we are giving to industry, for instance, is one that you say would have been given to you by a consultant. But majority of the startups don't have the resources to hire the services of a consultant. Okay, so a young person such as yourself, such as myself, just finished school, you want to start a business, you don't have the resources to throw around and then hire the services of a consultant to come in and all that. But you can access the services of the technical range of the technical support range of the FDA. It will provide these services for you for free. Okay, in all that, you can start your business right from your home. Fortunately, on Thursday, that is tomorrow, the FDA is also introducing what they call the progressive licensing regime. What the progressive licensing regime talks about, or the objective of it, is for industries, as it were, to progressively, move on to onto the FDA platform, and then as they keep improving. And so I start a small business in my kitchen. Who says you cannot start a business in your kitchen? You can. All you need to do is to understand the minimum hygiene requirement that you need to meet to be able to start that business from your kitchen. The big players that we see today, the Nestle's and what have you, all started as small family businesses some time back. And today, see where they are. And so, it is an avenue that the government is creating. And we are very thankful to the government of Ghana for throwing its support behind what the FDA intended to do, okay, through the board of governors and all that. And so this has come to stay, and tomorrow we are launching it, such that any person at all, irrespective of the size of your business, you can have FDA registration for you to be able to access the market, okay? And the MOU that we have signed with the MBSSI goes to buttress what we are doing now. So it is a multiplicity of events or activities that is geared towards supporting small-scale businesses, micro-scale businesses, okay, and in line with government's industrialization agenda. And we believe that when our entrepreneurs understand and embrace this, I tell you, by the next 3-5 years, we should be able to see more than 60% of Ghana-made products in all our shops across the country. Well, the industrialization agenda is a government policy. If you take the 1D1F, for example, fortunately, I also happen to be the coordinator for 1D1F here at the FDA. And so what it means is that if there is any business under the 1D1F, for example, and it is a business that is FDA needs FDA's approval, okay? If you take a look at the approach of the 1D1F, even at the ministry level, at the ministry you have the national coordinating team, and then you have the regional teams, and it goes down to the district teams. And so at every level, you have representations of the key players there. And so if that industry needs water, for example, I'm using the 1D1F, there is Ghana Water or Urban Water people on that committee. And so they know that, okay, this particular factory is going to be sited in this area. They need water. Ghana Water or the Urban Water people help with the supply of water for that particular industry. That industry needs FDA's approval. I am not on the committee, so I'm aware. I get my point. But this is a 1D1F thing. What about the ordinary person who is not doing the 1D1F? That person also needs the same support. So 1D1F is one industrialization agenda, but you have a bigger group that will not come under 1D1F that equally needs that support. And so it's a holistic industrialization agenda by government. Okay, and as FDA, we have sat back and we have looked at the entire operation, and we want to ensure that all the businesses that fall under our purview will receive the maximum support as much as possible for us to be able to, do the little that we can do. Government needs us. That's why we are paid. I'm paid to provide technical support. And so I should be seen doing just that. And that is what we've set ourselves to do. Well, my final words is that, we are so thankful to the leadership of the FDA. In fact, when these ideas came up, you need leaders who dream, and then who will take a look at what you have, and then put their weight behind it and drive it. And so I was surprised. You come up with some information, and then it gets to strategic management, and then they take it up, and now they come after you to make sure that what you have decided to do You bring it, you put work into it and bring it, let it see the light of day. And so there's a lot of work that we're doing. And we also thank government for throwing its weight behind what the FDA is doing. We want everybody on board. If you turn your camera around, you could see so many product samples on one of the tables there. And these are small businesses that we are, I keep throwing them away because they keep coming and all that. If you take a look at the fridge, you have all these samples that we have worked with, people doing coconut oil. It's another big thing now. Coconut oil is another big thing now because we threw away coconut oil. Okay? Now, coconut oil is another thing. And the industry is booming, and we want to see a vibrant industries in Ghana. And we have the raw materials. Okay? The agric ministry is doing so well, but there are several, the sky is the limit. And agriculture is everything. And so if we really want to see this industrialization drive move on, we have to pull along the agric sector, okay, to provide a raw material base and all that. Okay, let me just chip in this. We've been eating tinapa and sardines for all these years, right? Can we ever think of producing something with tilapia, canned tilapia, locally? Is it possible this can be done? Yes, it can be done. But you need the equipment, you need the packaging industry to be able to do that. So it's a business idea. Let's take tilapia, fillet tilapia, process it in such a way that you can can it. And you can have canned tilapia in tomato sauce, tilapia in vegetable oil, and let's see how it goes. And that will be Ghana's version of the sardines and the tinapas that we'll be importing all the time, using tilapia.
And that does it for our in-depth segment. News and events comes up next after this break. Don't go away.